What's up? What's up? How's everyone going? I'm doing pretty well. Has been going on, pretty exciting stuff happening in the background. But I thought I'd just jump on today because I had a bit of an opportunity that popped up the other day. I posted about it on Thursday and I was into it. And so I'll set the scene, give a bit of context, and then give my learnings from it. So, what happened was I got offered to attend this business club, and it was pretty epic to say the least. I got to meet some epic people through it, but I'll rewind a bit. So, got offered to come to this business club. Didn't really know what I was getting myself into, but I jumped into it anyway because it sounded epic. It sounded like what's the worst that could happen. And also, it's nice to jump into these things in case you meet some epic people. So I went along. They gave a designated time and place and everything. I got there, and it was pretty cool what happened. I walked in the door. Really cool location, really modern. They had a bar on site that were giving out nibbles and drinks and stuff. And there was a bunch of people in the room. I didn't know anyone. And I went in, got offered a drink. Before I stepped into the room, what happened was someone greeted me at the door and they said that there's some house rules. So these are the rules. You couldn't talk about what was said. There was no cameras or no videoing allowed in the room, and what happened in the room stayed in the room. You're allowed to use the information that was spoken about, but you can say who was there and what exactly happened. So a bit of mystique about it, a bit of it was it wasn't meant to be totally secret squirrel. The idea is if there's a bit of confidentiality, then people could speak their minds. They could get ideas out on the table, and people wouldn't hold back. And that way, there could be good discussion that happened that night. So went into the room, met a bunch of cool people. There was also a guest speaker that night, and he gave his thoughts on a lot of stuff. But I guess the coolest thing about it is when you're around heavy hitters and around business people, they talk in a certain way, and they talk about certain topics. And there was a feeling about in the room that I hadn't experienced in many rooms before. And I'll just give a few examples of, or I guess, themes that happened through the night that I noticed. And and hopefully it can give a bit of info to all of you. So, everyone in the room, they were genuinely interested in what each other were up to. They want to network, and they want to network because of a few things. They want to uh, business is about relationships, and it's about if I scratch your back, you can scratch mine, and hopefully we can thrive together. So they want to hear about what you're up to, what you're doing, and if they could genuinely help. It was really cool to see because a lot of these people they had a lot of they were worth a lot of money. A lot of them were running multi-million-dollar businesses. Some of them were running funds that had billions of dollars in them. So it was really interesting to hear how they talked. And so they genuinely want to network with each other and hear what you're up to. There's this conception, I think, of business people that they're greedy and they just want to talk to get money and everything. But I didn't experience anything of the sort in that room. A lot of the people in there, they had social initiatives behind all their businesses, which was really epic to see that those social initiatives could be commercially viable and profitable for them. So it was a win for everyone involved. So yeah, that was the first point. They want to network and they want to hear what everyone's been up to. And additionally to that, they're genuinely happy with each other's wins, and they listen to each other's losses, because they know what business is like. They know how tough it can be. They know what the highs and lows, I guess, that we've all been through over the past 2 years. And so there were a lot of people talking about the losses that they've been through. So that was really interesting. There were a few people who were involved in the tourism sector in the room, and they were talking about the tough times they were facing. But all of them were optimistic about, I guess they're cautious about what's to come, but they're optimistic about the moves they could make. So they're thinking about the the things that they could control, which was pretty cool, because the tourism sector has been put through the ringer over the last 2 years, but they were still focused solely on their mission of the business that they were driving. So that's pretty cool, which leads me on to the next point. They are the people that I spoke to, I didn't get round to speaking to everyone, but the people that I did speak to, they were primarily focused on their mission, not the money. But in saying that, they knew that money allowed them to achieve their mission. So all of them, they were happy to talk about economics, about money, about the moves they were making, about just what's happening in the economic, political, financial landscape, and how it affected their business, how it affects their moves they were making. So pretty cool to hear about that, and from different angles. It's they said it from their perspective, and then the people in those micro conversations, whoever was listening in at the time, they gave their 2 cents on it, and what they thought they could be thinking about. So pretty cool. So primarily they're talking about the mission, but then the money, that was they all know that they need money to survive. Money is like oxygen in a business. You need it to make everything tick and to make the mission come to life. So that was really epic. And the last thing I noticed was that they didn't get caught up in the small stuff. They talked about ideas. They didn't talk about people or gossip or what's going on. They just talked about ideas. They talked about the challenges they were having, and they talked about potential solutions. And then everyone who were involved in those conversations, they gave feedback to whatever it was. So there was a real feeling of brainstorming that you don't often get to experience, and everyone was completely transparent of where they were at, what they're doing, because no one could talk about what was happening in the room, or they couldn't talk about the details or who was involved in those conversations. So pretty cool stuff. I was definitely the dumbest person in the room. I'm happy to admit that. I was a small fish in a big pond, but it's pretty cool to be able to be invited to these sorts of things, because it's not often that I get to hang around those circles. They just think on a different level, and it's refreshing to even just get an insight, even just be in the room for a few hours. It just puts a different lens on everything. You think you have your own problems in your own little world, but then you step into a room like that, and people wheeling and dealing, and they've got these multi-million-dollar deals that are happening in the background that they're helping to manage. It puts things in perspective a little bit, and also it allows you to think of where you are in life, and you can imagine yourself in their shoes. Would you be able to handle the pressure? Would you be able to run projects like that? Because at the end of the day, everyone's got their goals, and they've got their things going on in their life, but with a bit of scale, you you're able to achieve some of the things that they're achieving. A lot of the people who were in the room, they were maybe 30 years older than me. Some of them were young, but the majority of them were a bit older, which is cool. You get to have an insight into their world. You get to get feedback from them. I was telling them what I've been up to, and like I said earlier, they're genuinely interested in what you're up to, and they're just humans, eh? They're like they may have big projects, they may have big businesses, but they're just human at the end of the day. They shouldn't be put on a pedestal. They're incredibly smart, and you should respect them. But there's not so much distance from anyone. You can just talk to them like normal people, and they'll respond in turn. They're not these scary beings at the top of this mountain. They're just human. So yeah, that was the cool opportunity that I got on Thursday. I got offered it 12 hours prior, and then within 12 hours, I was in the room with all these people. So yeah, it just popped up. I didn't know that it was going to happen, but I'm really glad it did. It just puts things into perspective and makes you aim high. When you're in a room with people that are doing big stuff, it makes you think in a different way. And hopefully I'll be able to be in those circles again in the future and more consistently. But at the moment, that's a pretty rare occurrence for me. So that's what it was. That was the big opportunity I had, and it was pretty cool. So any questions about, hit me up. Just chuck it below if you want, and I'll answer. But try and hang around big thinkers, I think, is the big learning point in summary, because that will allow you to think big as a consequence. So that's all from me. Hope everyone's doing well. Happy Anzac weekend. Enjoy the long weekend. Do what you gotta do. Sort out your life admin. Enjoy the break, and then hope you all get into some chunky stuff to come. Awesome. Peace out. Have a good one, team.